Hi everyone, it's Justine here from House of Mahalo. Thanks so much for joining me. So I'm coming on to do my project, the Wildcard project, for this month's Wheel of Inspiration prompts, which was a one-sheet project. Now, of course you can use one sheet of anything. It can be a sheet of digital, book page. I've seen one lady do something with wrapping paper, very cool project. And here we've got 12 by 12 scrapbook paper. You could do 6 by 6, 8 by 8, whatever you like. But I am going to be using the scrapbook paper because I have lots of it and I'm always looking for projects that will use it up. So this project is inspired by a video from, I believe her channel is called LeNae Creates, so I will leave the link down below. But essentially, here's what it looks like. So we've got the scrapbook paper as like a little folio thing. Now mine is slightly different from the original video because I did different measurements, and I think I changed up some of the pockets, but anyway, definitely inspired by that video. So I've got a little corner tuck here, and then I've matched this paper with some of my shabby script papers. I do have a freebie on my website as well for some of these things, so just a few pieces from the kit in there. I didn't like the back of this scrapbook paper, so I lined it with the digital. And then here we've got this little flip up tear off pad that was inspired by the original tutorial. Then essentially we have this little flip out piece. This is different on mine. I did 2 pockets here, and these will just be for some stickers, ephemera, things like that. Here we've got this little side tuck piece, and in there I've just put in one of the antique ephemera pieces that I did a haul video on recently. This one is from 1899, so there we go. This will be sent out as happy mail, I imagine. And then I've just put some lace down there, and you'll see why I did that when we come to do it, because you can do that or you don't have to, but anyway. And then I just wanted to show you a variation. So, you know, when you start making these things yourself, and hopefully that you will give something like this a go, you might decide that you want to change up measurements like I've done for this project. To suit your own projects better, you can change up different pockets and things. So there's always ways that you can change things up. And one thing that I did was when I was making this one, can you see how it's narrower than this? And that's because I added a 1/4 inch spine into this one. So still we have the corner tuck. This time it's an up tuck because the way the butterflies were. We still have the tear off pad. We've still got the flip with the pockets. But this time, because of the spine, I actually added in just a few sheets of tea-dyed paper to create this little notebook thing. And because of the different measurements, I'd had this spare pieces, so I did a side tuck inside there. This is the same as before, I just haven't put the lace down. I'm still umming and ahhing about whether to add that or not. And then I also had this piece, which I just added as a little side tuck on the back. So just goes to show you can change these things up. For today, I'm going to do one similar to this, where it is more the sort of flip folio thing, and that follows the tutorial a bit more closely. But hopefully you'll check out this video today, but also the original video, so you can start seeing how you can change things, seeing how you can do things, and try it out. So as I mentioned, this uses a 12 by 12, so I'm using this pretty green one. I believe this is Stamperia, and it's got some nice roses and flowers and different things. And the first thing that we want to do is start cutting this down into the different pieces that we want. So the first piece that we want is 7 inches tall by 12 across. So this first piece is going to be the base of the folio. So if I use this as an example, we're going to have 7 inches tall. You've got your front and back cover, and then you're also going to have the side tuck from this piece. The reason I mention where this piece is because if you have a little like picture or something nice that you want to keep, either as a pocket or as the front cover, you're going to have to work out where you want to cut your piece. Now in my case, I've tried very hard to use non-directional paper where it doesn't really matter where I cut, because I just think sometimes it's a bit easier. But if you did want to keep a certain piece of something, then you're just going to want to bear that in mind when you cut your panel down. Okay, so we want a 7 by 12 inch piece. Okay, so in my case, as I said, it's non-directional, so it doesn't really matter where I cut it, but I'm not such a fan of this. I don't think I need to see that in my project. So I'm going to try and aim for this to be something to do with the pocket that folds down, so you're not going to see it. So in that case, what I'm going to do is say that this is the top, and I'm going to mark 7 inches. So if I'm cutting about there, this is 7 by 12. This will then be my base for essentially my front cover, my back cover, and my fold tuck spot thing. Okay, so we've got the 7 by 12 and the second piece as the 5 by 12. So I'm just going to set this to one side for now, because we're going to go ahead and score this one. Okay, so at this point you want to decide what is going to be your inside or outside. So I'm actually going to have this as my inside because I quite like this for the cover, and then I can put like a label and have the lace on it kind of thing. So if this is my cover, I'm going to put this here and do the first mark, which I'm going to do at 4 1/4 inches. Now this is where I did mine differently from the original tutorial. I think she did it that it was 5, it was a bigger folio, but I'm doing it slightly smaller for mine. So I'm doing 4 1/4 and 8 1/2. So just keep telling yourself the 4 1/4 is your front cover, the 8 1/2 is what's going to be the tuck spot. So if we fold this in, this is going to be the tuck spot, this is going to be the front cover, and what you should find is they relatively meet in the middle. Obviously there might be a little bit of a kickback, which you can just trim off if anything is slightly out of line, but relatively speaking they should line up. So we're just going to put that to one side for now, because what we want to do is do the little flip that's going to go inside. So the flip, I just move that out of the way, needs to be the same height as your folio. So in this case it's going to be 7 inches, and we're going to put a little bit of a hinge in it. So just decide what you want the flip to look like. I think in my case I'm going to go with this bottom piece, and I'm just going to make a little bit of a mark because I need to cut this one down to be 7 inches tall. Okay, so now you should have your 7-inch tall piece, which is going to be the flip out. So again, I'm just going to put that to one side, and this is what you're left with. And we're going to cut this into 2 pockets, and we're going to do them at 2 inches tall. So we're going to get 2 out of this. If you don't want any scraps left over at all to use elsewhere, then you can do 2 1/2 inch pockets, and that would use up that entire scrap. But I liked the idea of having slightly shallower pockets. So I've got this piece left over, which I'm going to keep because I'm going to do something with that probably. Okay, so next you want to grab the piece that is going to be your flip out. So this should be 7 inches tall by roughly 5 across. And you want to decide, what do you want to see when you first open the folio? Now in my case, I think I would quite like to see this detail rather than the plainer back. So I'm going to turn it upside down, and I'm going to make sure that I get my score mark on the left hand side, and I'm going to do a 1/2 inch. So then when you fold that over, that is going to be your flip, like so. Okay. Now, because I changed the measurements from the original tutorial, we are going to have to cut this down a little bit. So the folio is 4 1/2 across, so we just want to bring it slightly in. So I'm going to cut it at 11 centimeters. so. And we've got this little piddly bit which I'm not going to keep. I'm not going to use that in a project. Okay, so you should now have all of your pieces. You've got your two little pockets, you've got your flip, and of course you've got the base, and we have a spare, which I'm going to show you what I'm doing with that in a minute. So now the last thing that we want to do is I'm going to cut a triangle off of the tuck. So if we bring this in, I'm not cutting a massive triangle, just a small one, and I'm leaving, I'll show you in a second, the way that I've cut it is I've left just a little bit of a lip there. So I didn't cut diagonally corner to corner, I left just a little bit of a lip just to keep that stronger, and that's now going to be our tuck. And that means that we've got a triangle left over, which is what I was using to create the tuck spot in the front. Now with this paper, this little tuck spot is blending in quite a bit. So I'm actually going to cover it with this paper, which was voted on my Facebook page as being the papers that I should use with the scrapbook paper. So I'll do that in a second. So let's get our flip in. So we're going to glue the hinge. And you just want to glue that on the inside of the crease down the middle of the folio. So you want to leave just enough room that you're going to be able to open and close this without any problems, like so. Okay, and then we've got this tuck spot. Now at this point you can decide whether you like the fact that this is there. Now in the original tutorial she left it because it blended in quite well with the background paper. But in my case I think I'm actually going to cover the back of it, and I'm going to use this paper again just so that we've got that nice green. So I'll do that, and then once I've done that I can just glue up the bottom and we'll have this nice little tuck whilst this flap here is hidden. So that's what we need to do there. So let me get these pieces covered and glued in, and then we can move on to the next step. Okay, so I've covered the back panel there, and I've also covered my little triangle. So what we need to do now is close up the tuck spot, and I'm just going to run some glue along the bottom edge. You can do it up the side there if you would prefer. The only difference is that it does make this a little bit harder to get into. So if you wanted it to be, you know, this big open tuck spot, then just glue along the bottom edge is fine. So we've got that. And then we've got these pockets. So these are the little pieces we did 2 inches tall. So we can get those onto the back of the flip out. I think I'll have them this way round. And again, we will need to cut these down in size. So there and there. Now, when I did this project initially, my first prototype, so to speak, I did do gussets in my pockets because I had the idea that I was going to add more ephemera, and I didn't really want these little offcuts, but the gussets got in the way of the flip out. So in the end I decided to go back to the idea of just having them be simple pockets without a gusset. So just bear that in mind if you are gonna give something like this a go. Okay, so I'm going to come along and just pop a thumb notch in the middle-ish. And then I've already inked these, I just need to ink those thumb notches. And now we can glue these on 3 sides. I can't remember what the original tutorial, what she had on the back here. I can't remember whether she had a pocket or something else. As I said, I have changed up a little bit from the original. So I'm just going to have that at the bottom. I might cut that flip just a little bit. I think something went a little bit wonky, so I might need to just trim that. Yeah, I can't remember what she had, whether she had a pocket or something else. I know she had a pocket in the front. She did one of these types of pockets, but I've done the triangle instead. So it just goes to show you can change up these projects as you see them and just make them work better for you. And I know somebody's going to ask me, well, why did you change up the measurements from the original tutorial? The only reason is that 4.5 across fitted with my project better. Okay, and then we're going to take the little triangle tuck spot and glue that on 2 sides. That'll just help us slip a little piece of ephemera in there. So yeah, 5 inches across was just a little bit too wide for where I wanted to use this, because I did want to use this inside a journal. So that's the only reason. But of course, if you do change up measurements from things that you see, you just have to bear that in mind when you come to, you know, do the decorating and decide where things are going to go. So here we've got the little tear off pad. I've been making some journals recently, so I had these offcuts. So I've just sewn across the top. Now I wanted to mention, this is one of the pieces that we had as a cut off. Now there's a couple of options that you can do with this offcut. You could use it to make your notepad. So if you scored in the middle, you could make some kind of like flip over thing. Another idea would be to use this as a belly band, which you would then slip your notepad into. And another option I had is you could turn this into a pocket for the back. So you could have, you know, just cut it down and you could have another pocket on the back. You could have a middle belly band, which actually looks kind of cool. You could attach some fabric to it, like I did with this scrap from one of the other projects, and that becomes a pocket. So there's a few different options that you could do with that. I think I'm actually liking the idea of it being a belly band on the back, maybe. So that's possibly what I'm going to do with it. But for the tear off pad, we're just going to glue this into position. As I said, you can do the belly band idea for the notepad if you want. So as I said, these were just some scraps I had on my desk, so it was good timing to do this kind of a project. So just gluing that with a border because I want to see the paper behind. I do need to tear the tear pad down to size. I just wanted to get it in first, and then I could just come along with my tear ruler. You could do a waterfall effect if you don't want it all to be the same, you know, the same height papers. So that goes in like so. So then you just got this little tear off pad, and the great thing is that somebody could lift that up and have like a picture, a photo. They could put a writing spot in there, whatever they want to do. We've got our little tuck spot. We've got our pockets, our tuck spot at the back. So I've got 2 options here on the back. I can either go with the belly band idea and use this little scrap up, which I am liking, especially with this sort of circle detail on it. Or the other option I have is to bring in some of the pink and use this little offcut, which can be a pocket on the back. Okay, I made a decision. I've decided to cut this down to be the width of this little tuck spot at the back, and I just thought with the wheel decoration, I thought that would suit that quite well. So I'm going to glue this on 3 sides. It won't fit much in here, just some either some little tickets or a piece of ephemera, but there we go, we've got another pocket in. So again, just goes to show when you make this kind of project, sometimes you're dictated to by the paper you use as to what you're going to do with things. So yeah, don't be afraid to change things up, especially as you start working on a project. Okay, so we've got our tuck spot, tear off pad, 2 pockets, big tuck spot and little pocket. So I decided to keep the back plain because I remembered I'd like to have crochet down the side. So once I brought that over, I just kind of felt like, yeah, leave it plain and then it's, you know, nice and flat and everything. So I've just added my label to the front, and that is my little 1-sheet project. So I've got this sort of tuck spot here. So this is what I had in the other one, which I imagine I'll do, you know, something similar for this project. Something like that. Got our tear off pad, and then of course if you lift that up, you could have a writing spot there, you could have a photo, you could clip something on there, you could have another pocket if you wanted. And then we've got pockets which I'll probably have some kind of ephemera in them. We've got our big tuck spot, which I'm going to put antique ephemera in, and our little baby pocket, which can have, you know, little things, tickets and stickers and stuff. Because I imagine this being used as sort of like an ephemera folio where it could go with a journal. I'm going to slip it into a journal or send it as happy mail or something. Of course, I probably need to do a bit of decorating, but I like to wait until I've got stuff in the pockets. But I just wanted to show you the idea. And these were the bits that I was left over with, which are absolutely tiny. So I might be able to do some kind of like cluster type thing with them maybe. So I'll probably just, well yeah, I suppose I could probably just maybe staple that or something, and then just add a little fussy cut, and then that could be a little decoration. Not in here, I would use it in something else, but anyway, so yeah, those were the bits that were left over, so you know, small amount left over. And as I said, you can change this up. So you know, this one I added the 1/4 inch spine to give you this little notebook in there, which I do like the idea of. And of course this one we added the bonus pocket down there, which I didn't do in these. So it just goes to show you can, you know, change these things up to suit your projects. So I hope you've got something out of watching today, even if it was just me battling with the measurements. So I am going to put some notes down below, because sometimes it is easier, you know, for measurements and things, because I did make notes. So I'll copy them down below just in case you want to give this variation a go. If not, then the original tutorial that I was inspired by, I'll also link that down below, because from that you'll be able to gather what she did. And as you can see from my project, you can change these things up based on what you want to do. So, you know, in my case, I did the corner here, which I then used as a corner pocket. I think I added an additional pocket here. We got this extra pocket. So there are ways that you can change these things up depending on what you see. So I hope you got something out of today. Thanks so much for watching. That was my 1-sheet project for the Wheel of Inspiration challenge. And I do have another project that will also be a 1-sheet project, but I'm going to save that and do that as a bonus next month. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye for now.